So in this particular interview, we have Shaz. Me and Shaz been working together for what, like 5 months, 6 months, maybe.
Something like that, yes.
And Shaz ended up having a lot of growth. Basically, in this interview, we're going to talk about kind of like where Shaz was when we first got started and where Shaz is now after working with me for some time. It's going to be an interesting interview. So with that being said, for everybody that's watching, Shaz, tell a little bit about yourself or your background and things like that.
Yes. Well, my name is Shaz Taylor, and I pretty much do a lot of drawings and paintings. I went to the School Art Institute of Chicago, and I've been painting and drawing my whole life. I would say that I probably started taking my art career seriously around 2010, but it's been on and off, on and off. And before I met you, Jaroid, I I didn't know what I was doing. I really didn't. And I knew that, you know what I mean? I knew that I didn't know what I was doing, and I was trying to figure it out along the way. And I just made a lot of, really responsible mistakes that were great lessons. And before, I would probably sell maybe one or two paintings. I would say a year, but like further from that, maybe one or two paintings in a year, and then it would be a few years before I would sell another one. Yeah. Now it's getting to the point where I'm like doing that within a week or within a month, like a whole lot rapid. Like my walls are getting empty. It's amazing.
Yeah. So at that time, let's say before we met, when you were selling, I guess you could say less frequently.
Yeah.
How much would you charge for your artworks?
Oh, Lord. That question hurts. Because, okay, so some of the paintings I sold years ago, I really didn't remember how much I was charging. I do remember I sold like my first painting, like around my first original painting for like around $1,000. And I was just like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I sold it for $1,000. But I don't think I sold my other ones for that price.
Yeah.
I was selling them for less than 1,000. I just don't remember. But the last painting, the last original that I sold before I met you, once I started your program, I went back to my history and I looked at the exact cost of what I sold. And it hurt so bad. It was like $200, and it was huge. I sold it for $200. I remember being so happy. I was like, I sold it to that lady for $200. I'm selling prints for more than that cost now, and I let that painting go for $200. I was just like, oh Lord, Shaz, never again. But I remember being happy, and I remember it selling, and I just was like, I can't believe I did that. Yeah, no, never again. So yeah, I would say. Original work was maybe anywhere between $50 and $800.
Yeah.
If that, you know?
Yeah. So at that time, if you don't mind sharing, I'm assuming, because you say you was taking your art career pretty serious at that time. So I'm assuming, but you wasn't selling. So would you like working a job while creating artwork?
Oh, absolutely. I was working in the art department in the film and television industry, which took a ton of my time. So when a show was on hiatus, I would try to work and sell my stuff, but it was still kind of hard. And then it got to the point where when I did, kind of fall back in working on that industry, and I was like, I'm going to focus on my art 100%. And I did that. It was a lot of like art shows and stuff. And at the end of the year, I was like, okay, I made $13,000, yay. But then I look at my expenses and I spent like 14 or 15.
Yeah.
I was always still spending more than what I made. And the issue was I wasn't really charging enough, not just originals, but I wasn't even charging enough for prints to even justify going that route. And I had to get away from that, because I didn't know how to do it and how to go about it. And I wasn't valuing my art because I really didn't know what I was doing. Like, that's it. And I wasn't putting myself in the right places for the people to value my work because I didn't know how to find them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when I did find some, they still, maybe it's because of the location, maybe because of the show, they still wouldn't really pay for a real original piece, even though I had it displayed. They went for the cheaper prints. So I ended up being almost negative, probably about 3 years in a row.
So at that time, how much were you charging for prints?
5x7. I was going as little as $7, and the largest print, $30.
So how much a print costs now?
300. At least 300. Yeah, 300.
Yeah.
I think my smallest print now, I'll let it go for $100, but that's like the last resort. Is the $100. I probably sold maybe 2 $100 prints. Everyone goes for the $300 or the canvas prints that I sell for like, how much did I sell? For like 800 to 1,000. And these are still prints.
So going through that process, and then you having the shows and you realizing like, holy crap, I'm actually losing money going through this process. At what point you realize, you know what, I actually want to receive like guidance from or guidance on how to actually sell my art properly? When did you have that switch?
I've been had that switch. Here's the problem. I didn't know how to find a mentor to help guide me to properly selling my work. You know what I mean? I don't want to throw anybody under the bus or name drop, but I did have a mentor that is a renowned artist. They've made millions off their artwork, and they said they would mentor me. But the issue is they really didn't. They put me in a show, but they really couldn't guide me on how to do it today. Like, it's different. They blew up because their artwork was like on the Cosby Show in the 90s. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They don't know. They couldn't guide me on how to make a sale today. And after probably about a year working with them, because of the show they put me in, one person was interested in my work, and then they wouldn't even give me the contact information for that person. I was like, are you trying to help me or not? So I started going on like this little quest of, my husband and I, he was like, all right, this is summer, this is 2022. So this is summer 2021, last year. He was like, all right, this is the summer of Shaz. I was like, yes, I'm going to do me. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to learn what I need to learn. And I just went for it, quit the job. Thank you, COVID, because I sat my butt down and really thought about what I wanted to do and what was going to bring me joy. You know what I mean? And we made a decision for me to not work, stay at home, re-educate myself on how to train myself to sell art. So honestly, I feel like when you open up your mindset and your heart and just be open to change, and I knew what I wanted, things are going to come to you. I don't really remember how I met you. I don't remember. I don't remember getting an email. I don't remember getting, like, I saw some stuff. I took like one little class at the community college that was a waste of $80. Then I took another class that was really, really good, helpful for me to elevate my skill sets when it came to my art, but it didn't help me with my sales. Yeah. Once I got to that point, I was just like, how do I sell this stuff? Okay, my stuff is great, but how do I sell it? Honestly, next thing I know, I was talking to you, but I really don't remember how I met you. I don't remember an ad. I just remember signing up to have a conversation. I don't remember a seminar. I don't remember nothing. It's like we talked, You said, "Oh, you got a lot of art to sell." I was like, "Yeah." You were like, "Okay, let's do this." I was like, "Let's." That's what happened.
So let me ask you this.
Sure.
So you don't remember how we met, but it seems like you remember that conversation to some degree. In
Correct.
that conversation, I think it's an interesting question. At some point, did you feel like, I don't know, or hesitant or like nervous? 'Cause I know that could be the thing for some people, really a lot
That
of.
look. All right, Gerard, you're not looking too good on Reddit. Okay, it's a bunch of people.
And that's the next thing. There's a lot people see reviews about me online just from
And
people like not a part of the training. So a lot of people
that's
get
the
hesitant.
thing.
So I wanted to ask you,
None of the people that did your program that were talking all this smack, none of them did the program.
let me ask you
So
this though. Let me ask you this. Before, because at this point, we've been working together for 6 months. You've been doing some really amazing things. So I know you like Team Jaroid, right? But
yeah,
before that, let's
before
talk about that very first phone call. When you, at this point, you don't really know me at all.
I
You
didn't know
just getting
you.
to know me with our first phone call. We told you not a part of training. What was going through your mind?
You
That
know what? I'm a special case. I'm not gonna call myself a unicorn, but I read a book, and well, not just one book. I read like 3 books, and I had my mindset prepared to accept what I felt I needed. You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
Where other people, they it's like they say they know what they want, but they don't really know what they want, and they don't really understand the sacrifice that it takes to get there. I feel that by the time we had our conversation, I already knew exactly what I wanted. I already knew exactly how to trust and believe in myself, have confidence in myself, and I was already mentally prepared not to move with fear, because fear is a false illusion appearing real. I didn't want to be like, "Oh, well, what if I don't sell work?" And, and then what? Like that didn't even cross my mind for a second, because I already knew I had what it takes, but I needed the guidance to get there.
yeah.
And I trusted you. I can't even say why. I did not know you, right? I didn't
Right.
know you
And that was my
from this.
question.
I was just like, how do I know you're gonna do it? But it was honestly okay. I did have one class before you, and I felt like that kind of prepped me for your program, because the costs were similar, okay? And I really got a lot out of that program. And I knew, I was like, well, I'm this rate, for this rate, it has to be good, because when you pay a tiny little $50 or $60 there, I'm sorry, but you're going to get what you pay for. You're not going to really get anything out of the course. You have
Yeah.
to really invest in yourself. And if you're not prepared to do that, then you're not ready to work. And I was ready to work. So by the time I got to you, I was already, you know, been pre-prepped from a previous course. Like I said, again, helped me become a better artist, but it did not help me with sales. And that was my next goal, was to now sell the stuff. So I don't know, a couple other things I could say, but I just felt that you were genuine. And I did get one little vibe when you was like, "Oh, let me take your card." I was like, "Nah, bro, send me an email." But other than that, I did trust that this was what I needed and what I was asking for. So I just I was ready to roll.
Yeah.
I didn't hesitate, because I feel like hesitation is being fearful, and I already knew that I could do what I needed to do.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. So previously, you mentioned like you did these other programs mainly on like bettering your artwork, probably
Mm-hmm.
slightly sales programs. And you mentioned the price ranges being anywhere from, $50 or so in that ballpark. Now, there's no secret. My program is a bit expensive. So
Correct.
going from there, like let's say $50 to the investment in this program,
Uh-huh.
did that kind of like, what's the word? I don't want to say made you hesitate because you mentioned it didn't, but did that kind of like made you think like, holy crap, going into this have to work?
Okay, so like I said, the last program was around the similar price as yours, right?
Yeah.
So I'd already just dropped that same amount. So this was like round 2. My husband was like, really? I was like, so much yes. I would say the cheaper $50 programs was literally a waste of my time and a waste of money.
Yeah.
I think I did maybe 3 ranging 50 to $80. And I was just like, trash, trash, trash. When I spent a better investment on the other program, I really benefited. That was a 6-week course that I think it took me like 8 weeks to actually complete.
Yeah.
And so your program, I think technically it's another 6-week course, but of course, at your own pace, so you can move faster if you want or slower. It's up to you. I just felt like it had to be good. I was like, you can't charge this amount of money and give me trash. Like, I will blast you all over the internet if it's trash. I was like, this is garbage. Like, honestly, I would just say it. But I just felt like the amount that you were charging and the what you were offering made sense to me.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was worth any less than what you charge for it, because I didn't have the money. A lot of people say, oh, I ain't have it either. But I got a fantastic credit score. So I just put that bad boy on a credit card and kept it and I made all my money back. You know what I'm saying? And then
So let's talk about that. Now, moving on to actually being a part of the training, right?
Correct.
And going through it. How long did it take you to actually complete the training? Because as you mentioned, it is go through it at your own pace.
It's a great question. Okay. So in my head, I haven't technically completed the training.
Yeah.
Because you got the bonus sections. But the main course, I think I finished it in like 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Okay.
Yeah. It said 6 weeks, but I think I finished it in 3.
Okay. Now, finishing in 3 weeks. 2 questions. 1, how long did it take you to make your first sale?
So I started at the very end of September, the very, very end. And I did make my first sale using your process in October. I made 2 in October. So I would say, okay, so the 3 weeks that I finished, I would say within a week or 2, I just applied it a little bit and I did make 2 sales. So pretty much immediately, yeah.
Now, going through the training to making a sale, I want you to think about this. What did you feel like if you had to put your finger on something and say this was the biggest struggling part or this was the most complicated part for me, what would that be for you?
I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to talk to people. I didn't know how to, I don't want to say I don't know how to make people feel special or anything, but like the way I was selling my art before was like, I would just be there like, if you want it, you got it. If not, whatever. Like that was my attitude.
Yeah.
Whereas where now is like, you have to actually talk to people.
Yeah.
and have a conversation. Don't be on some, you're not going to sell any work like that. Clearly. So the first person I sold to applying your methods was someone that had been looking at the same piece of artwork for years. They looked at it, they loved it, they told me they liked it for years. And I was just like, well, if they want it, they'll get it. And they sat on it for years. As soon as I applied your method, it was like they bought it in 2 weeks. And I was like, you've been looking at this artwork for 5 years. And now you want to get it because I you was your raw. It was like immediate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was crazy.
So let me ask you this. You guys started late September, right?
Mm-hmm.
getting started, and I know this happened with a lot of new artists. Maybe it's happened with you. New artists will come into the training, and then they'll see all of these other artists in the training that just like crushing it. Like first month 10,000, first month 5,000, first month,
Yeah,
first 2 months 20,000. Going through that, and like let's say you kind of have a slower start, with you making two sales
I
the
did. Yeah.
first month or so. How did you ever felt like discouraged in any way, or did that actually motivate you more to want to like push harder?
Um, I would say I just I c- I couldn't figure out how they were doing it
Yeah,
because the sales that I had, I I immediately applied it to people that had already seen my work.
yeah,
So I was like, okay, I sold some stuff, yay, but I couldn't celebrate too hard because for me the challenge was selling to a complete stranger, not
yeah,
someone that had already seen my work. That was the little bit of a struggle, and seeing other people's stuff. I know some people will get discouraged. I didn't get discouraged from other people's success. I got discouraged from not knowing where to find my tribe.
yeah,
I was like, where do I find my people? It's like, okay, you found your people, good for you. You found your people, good for you. Where's my people? That was the biggest hurdle for me, is finding where the people were that resonated with me and my story and my work. I fell on my butt. I
yeah,
like, honestly, I fell on my butt, I would say, at the end of October, and it did discourage me. And I literally did nothing for 2 months. I didn't do nothing in November or December. I literally was like, I didn't. I checked into a couple, Q&As. I didn't really have any questions. I didn't really have nothing to say because I wasn't doing anything.
yeah,
And then after 2 months, I was like, paying on this credit card bill while I'm not doing anything. I was like, okay, Shaz, like, you gotta do something. You gotta get back in there. So I went back to the training and started from the beginning again. And I went through the whole thing, except for probably the last week. I went through probably week 1 through 5, probably about 3 or 4 more times. And I made a plan. And I don't want to call it a New Year's resolution because that's silly. But for real, New Year's, I was like, it's go time. Like, let's do this. I
yeah,
let it sink in. I absorbed the information. So it wasn't like just 3 weeks and then I went. I went back in December feeling like, okay, I didn't do nothing in November, and really, really pushing hard. So in January, those other artists that were making that kind of money, I was right there with them,
yeah.
and that's because
So
I put in an honest effort.
let's talk about that. So as everybody inside the training know, and I'll let you talk about your numbers if you're comfortable. As everyone in the training know, not too long ago, what it was, February, you had your first $20,000 month.
Correct. My first, yep.
And then January is when you started seeing like consistent sales, right?
Mm-hmm.
Going from not making sales for like those 2 months,
0.
and then January started saying like, I don't know what your numbers ended out being at January. Maybe you remember.
January was 0 because I
Okay,
was
so
working the program in January.
okay. So you went back to the program in January. Okay, so
No, I went back to the program in December
December.
and I applied it heavy in January. So I was 0 for November, December, and January.
Okay. So basically your first actual month, like fully going, was February.
And that was when I pushed over 20K.
And that's when you had your first 20K month. How was that? Like at the end of the month, I remember your post in the group. I might
Yeah.
even put it on the screen. But how was that, having that first $20,000 month? Like, how did that feel?
It's like you think ahead how you think you might feel. And then when it actually happens, it was different. Like, I thought I would be jumping for joy and smiling. I thought I would throw myself a little party and eat some ice cream. It was none of that. I
Yeah.
was just like, as soon as it hit, I was just like, yup, that's right. I'm supposed to do that, because I worked for it.
Yeah.
For it. I didn't smile. I didn't cry. I was just like, about time. Like that's
Yeah.
exactly how I felt. I felt very good. Um I felt like my hard work was finally paying off. And I felt like I finally had a win. And I had been needing a win for so long because it wasn't like I wasn't trying. I just didn't know what to do or how to do. And I needed that guidance. And somebody like you know, you helped guide me. And I've been looking for that at this point for a couple of years. I just didn't know how to find it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So when it happened, I was just like, hell yeah, let's do this again, shall we? You know, like let's keep working. That's how I felt. And I also felt no need or no rush to spend a dime of my profits on anything. I think I didn't even like pay my car note with the money. I was like, yeah, we're gonna take this, we're gonna reinvest it back into the art. Like I still didn't pay myself
Yeah.
anything because I just don't think that's just my own personal thoughts about money. I just don't think it's wise to do that because you never know what's going to come next. And I wanted to take that money and just keep pushing forward to make more art, to have more conversations, to do what I need to do to duplicate that again. And I
Yeah.
didn't want to spend the money because if I spent the money, it's like, it's like it never happened.
Yeah.
Like it
So
never happened.
now, as you mentioned, you wanted to take that, you want to build up on, and you want to start seeing more consistency. So let's talk about moving forward. So where we at so
Right.
far is you end up making 2 sales in the beginning and slow it up. You decide to go back through everything and apply 110%. And then you had a
Yeah.
great February. What was March like?
March was a little bit less fun.
How much did you make in March?
I think I made like 3K in March.
Okay.
It dropped. Like, yeah, it went from 20 to 3.
Yeah.
And then March, April, we're in May now. We just started May. April, my figures are just under 7, so around 6 something.
Okay. So
Yeah.
basically, you had a great February, then it slowed up a bit in March, and it's picked back up in April.
March. Yeah. Well, wait.
Slowed up in March, picked back up in
Slowed up in
April.
March. Picked up more in yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now the biggest thing is though you're starting to see that more consistency after coming from November, December, January with no sales.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you. So now let me ask you this. Seeing sales and going through the program, right? And
Mm-hmm.
being where you're at currently, making actual sales, a great living, selling artwork. If you had to look back and give Shaz any advice, let's say 6 months ago, a year ago, for you specifically, not anyone else, specifically for Shaz, what would you say?
Oh, if I was talking to old me to
Yeah,
give myself advice,
yeah. After now being at this point, so if you to look back in time and say, okay, Shaz, and give yourself advice, what would you tell yourself?
I don't, that's a really hard question to answer. Because my husband was kind of echoing this over and over again. He would say, "How much is your time worth?" You know what I mean?
Yeah,
How much is your time worth? And I was spending my time doing a lot of things and not getting a lot out of it.
yeah,
So my biggest advice that I would give myself, probably stop resisting. I was really resisting a lot of things. Your program told me to do a lot of things I didn't want to do.
yeah,
I'm for real. I was just like, what? Why? Like, I was resisting the entire time. I was just like, he's crazy, blah, 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 blah. And when I stopped resisting is when I started to see some real changes. And I didn't even realize or know that I was actually hindering myself. Even once, it was like I asked for the information. And then once I got it, I didn't want to do it. Like, that doesn't
yeah,
make any sense. So I would tell my old self, stop resisting,
yeah,
just have an open mind and what you're doing is not working. So time to try something else, like real talk. That's what I would tell myself.
Now, interesting question, side question.
Sure.
In the beginning, you mentioned about your sales and selling prints like $30. At this current time, going through the training, what's the biggest sale you made to date?
The biggest sale I've made to date is a commission piece.
How much?
11.7 thousand.
So 11,000.
11,700. Yes.
How was that? I'm just curious. Making like a lot of people want to make a sale over 1,000 and 2,000, but you made a sale over the $10,000 mark to a complete stranger.
To a complete stranger, yes. First of all, I was so nervous to like even say those numbers to somebody because I had just gotten away from selling something from 1,000. I literally just started trying to sell stuff for $2,000 to $3,000.
Yeah.
So wrapping my head around something that's $5,000, I was just like, whoa. So it's like, wait, okay, so how you go from 2,000 to almost $12,000, right? I'm gonna tell you, listen, this is what I did. Because I just was like, I couldn't compute. I need help. I took the price of my $3,000 works. And this is something I learned in the last program. She said she would charge stuff per square inch.
Yeah.
And I went to architecture school, so my brain doesn't work by square inch. It works by square foot. So I took the price of one of my $3,000 works, and I broke it down to the price per square foot. And then I applied it to what the commission was asking for. And it came out to like 8,000, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, that ain't enough. Yeah, nah. I was like, let me throw in here some, I got to pay taxes. I got to ship this bad boy. I got to pack it. I got to pay for materials. So I started just thinking it through.
Yeah.
As far as what those expenses, I was like, okay, if it came out to 8,000, I was like, that's how much I need to keep. But so I started to find out how much is it going to cost to get framed? How much is it going to cost to get shipped? How much is it going to cost to this? Once I put all that stuff together, I rounded up.
Yeah.
Because you always round up. You don't round down. I rounded up. I came up with a number, and the original number was probably around 13,000.
Yeah.
And they didn't say no, but before I told them the price, they reduced the size of the painting.
Yeah.
So I reduced the price from 13 to 11.7.
Yeah.
And they were just like, okay. And I was just like, yeah, okay. Yeah. And then funny story. And then I told him he can do 2 payments. I was like, you can put 50% in so I can get you on my books. And then once I get started, you can pay the other 50. And he was like, okay, cool. Why the next day this man paid for the whole thing in full? I was like, why did you do this? Do you want a partial refund? He was like, no, everything happens for a reason. I don't want to rush your mastery. I was just like, can I get more of you? This is amazing. Like, he didn't even want a partial refund. He just, he trusted me to do exactly what he wanted to do. And he paid for it in full. And that was the second piece of art that they bought. So this is a returning customer. They first bought something and was able to see my work in person. And then they were like, I got to commission you to do this. I've been thinking about this for like 8 years, and I think you're the right person to do it.
Let me ask you this. For the first sale, you remember how much you sold it for?
$3,000.
That $3,000 sale to this person, right? Mm-hmm. How long did it take you to, let's say, meet this person? Because it's a complete stranger. And how long did it take from to go from there to them actually purchasing? So like that very first interaction or conversation to that lead into a sale. What was the time frame on that?
It's a good question.
If you could remember.
I think it all happened in the same day.
So yeah. So basically,
I'm pretty sure it happened in the same day because they reached out to me and they apologized. They were like, "I'm so sorry to jump in your inbox." I was just like, not necessary. Like, it happened like that.
yeah.
They saw a picture. They were asking if it was me, okay, because they couldn't see my face. And which I know is kind of sidetracked from how you tell us to do it. We're supposed to show our faces, guys, but I didn't this time. And so I didn't show my face. He was like, "Is this you?" And I was like, "Yes." He was like, "So you painted this?" And I was like, "Yes." He was like, "Is it for sale?" I was like, "Why?" And then he was just like, "It's just beautiful. I would love to see the whole thing." So I showed him the painting and he asked if it was for sale. And I asked him, a few questions about the work, and we just went back and forth and had a really lovely conversation. And then once I presented the price to him, I mean, like, I sent him an invoice and he paid it. I really think it happened in the same day. I don't remember it going on for weeks or days, which does happen because I have another buyer that took about 2 weeks to warm up to me for a price, the exact same price, another $3,000 painting.
Yeah.
They Googled me, they did their research. They were like, I don't know this girl. I'm not gonna just give her $3,000, and that's fine. At the end of the day, they both still bought, right?
Yeah.
But for him, it was like in the same day.
So basically, you and this guy met the same day online, had a
Correct.
conversation, found the process that led to a $3,000 sale that
Yep.
day to a
That
complete
day.
stranger who had no idea that's going to wake up that morning and see an art and purchase it.
Didn't
Then,
know me from nothing.
how long it took, because I'm pretty sure you had to complete the pen and ship it to them, how long it took from that first sale to the $11,000 sale?
2 weeks.
About 2 weeks. So from there, in the span of 2 weeks, from a complete stranger, you end up bringing in, what is that? Almost 12, almost 15,000,
Yeah, yeah.
14,700.
Now you see how I got to my 20K month. Because he pushed it. And here's the thing, Jaroid, like, my first goal, not my end goal, right? Because you got, everything's a step, right? My first goal was to make 5K in a month. I was like, I want to make 5K and I want to lead to 22K, I think, right?
Yeah.
If it wasn't for this person that we're discussing right now, when I delete his entire amount, I still made over 5K with other people. So
Yeah.
I still reached my goal without my unicorn
Yeah.
buyer. And so for that, I'm proud, because I did what, 11, 14.7 with him in February,
Yeah.
but my total sales from the 30 days was around 23.
Yeah.
So even if someone didn't have like this, oh, she got lucky. Even if then, I still applied the process to other people and I
Right.
still reached my goal.
That's amazing, and even as far as like luck, keep in mind you still apply the process with this specific guy here who ended up
Person,
spending
absolutely.
more and purchasing your art at those higher prices. And as you mentioned, from 14 to 22 or 23, that's still in there almost an additional $8,000 or so, give or take, right?
Right.
So now, being someone who went years with barely selling, coming to the training, a lot of artists that don't work with me, they see these artists who out the gate just start crushing it. For you,
Yeah.
it took a bit longer to get the ball really rolling. And now that you're here, if you had to give advice to like a new artist who is not in a program, what would you recommend? Or what would your advice be?
To join your program? No. honestly, I get artists coming in my inbox asking me for stuff, and I'm like, can I help you? I don't have time. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm such a jerk. No, like my advice would be, I think it's hard to give a blanket advice because sometimes you really have to kind of ask the questions and see where people are.
Yeah.
And depending on who you are and where you are as an artist in your journey, depending on what they say, I have said to people, they need to figure out what they really want to do. You need to hone in on your style. You seem a little all over the place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some people in their journey, they're not ready to sell. You have to be ready to sell your work, because if you jump in too early, it's not right for you. And I would say for those that are ready to sell, that already have, they already know their style, they already know what makes them happy, they already have a beautiful body of work, and they are, confident in their ability. The first thing I would recommend for them is to kind of tighten up and get all their stuff together, because once you absorb and learn the information, is gonna, like, you're not gonna be like, oh, now I need to get my EIN number, now I need to get my thank you card to get all that stuff together now.
Yeah.
On the front end, all the little things that is gonna, just make you special and get it's crazy to say that you don't really have to focus on your website. I think a lot of artists spend so much time on their website, and I did too. And just to say it's not as important as you think it is going to be mind crazy. But I would definitely just say get ready, because once you learn the process and you apply it and you do it like properly, you're not going to have time to backtrack. You really won't. You really won't.
Yeah. So, second question.
Well, it's not really the second, but go ahead.
All right, yeah, the 22nd question. So, being an artist, and this is for me, being an artist that went through the training, you experienced everything from the Q&A calls to surrounding yourself with the other artists to applying a process. Out of everything, what would you say you enjoy the most?
What would I say I enjoyed?
Outside of selling? Yeah, what do you enjoy the most about the training overall?
What do I enjoy the most about the training? Oh, it just clicked because I've done a lot of other trainings. You don't waste no time. You get straight to the point. I've done some other trainings where I talk a lot, obviously, but I don't like it when others do it too much. No, that sounds terrible. But like, I get into the training, I know what the point of it is, and you get straight to it. And, I'm a wife and I'm a mother. I don't have a lot of time to kind of, go back and forth. Like I have my notebook. You say what needs to be said. I get my notes. I know what I need to do next, and I get to it, and I can move on with my day. So the best part about the training to me is basically how you broke it up, and the fact that I can move at my own pace, see it. And then the next part that's my favorite is being able to have camaraderie with the other artists that are in the program and kind of work those thoughts out. I like being able to talk it out with other people and get those other perspectives. That has been really beneficial. Also, being able to converse with you a couple times a week and ask those questions, that to me, actually, that is probably the favorite. Not just the fact that you get to the point and you don't waste people's time, but you are available to talk to us. And that to me is like gold, because even if you have anything that you're unsure of, some other programs that are out there, you get access to the training, and then it's like, good luck, bye, you're on your own. You can have questions and you don't even know which way to go. And so that to me, being able to talk with others in the group and being able to talk with you weekly, that is, to me, is the best part of the training, is the access and just getting clarity.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, with that being said, I think that's about I got one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Last question. Going through the training and now basically, kind of like I just mentioned, experiencing everything, right? From the Q&A calls to the training to the videos. If you had to give, like how you gave advice to the other artists, if you had to give me a bit of advice, if you had to say, Jaroid, if I had to give you one advice, it'd be this, what would it be?
My advice for you. You ready?
I'm ready.
I think I would like a small heads up on the warnings of the internet.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like I did not know what, like you just said a lot of things can go wrong. You kind of said you're going to hit some hurdles. I would almost like a little list of these hurdles, because for me it was like a shock, like a culture shock. And then on top of that, the other thing that I felt that you're a guy. I doubt very seriously you're gonna get a bunch of guys in your inbox.
Yeah.
I feel like your training just needs a little feminine perspective of what the ladies have to go through, because we can apply the training the same way you say it.
Some messages could be taken the wrong way.
Yes. And it's just like I had to go out of my way to change the color of my heart emoji. I can't send a guy a red heart emoji. I got to send you a yellow one, so you know I'm being a friend. Like, it's serious. Like, you know, like, it's just the way we talk to people. I think my advice to you is to kind of like try to get it from a feminine perspective, because there is a lot of these guys that will just try to talk to female artists as a way to talk to them, and they're not necessarily about the work. So I
it'd be a waste of time.
It's a waste of time, and I had to kind of tighten up to be able to seek those people out, and I didn't really know how to do that. So if there's like just one little training of, here are some hints and clues of to be able to recognize people wasting your time a whole lot faster. They might say these 5 things, and then you already know, it's like, oh, let me get out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would have been helpful, because that was just a little bit of a struggle for me. And I get it now, but it did take me a little bit to
get past that. It makes sense. And then last, I kind of already asked this, but it's going to be like a little closing out question. So if you had to just give everybody a tip of advice that's probably going to watch this, keep in mind you're probably where you were before working with me, right? If you give one little tip of advice, what would you say?
Definitely trust the process. You know, that's my major tip, is trust the process, trust yourself, and move at your own pace and give yourself grace. There is no rush. Just because everyone else was, making 5, 10, 20K their first month, it doesn't mean you have to. I didn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, what's important is that you understand the information, you absorb the information, and you go out there prepared to apply it instead of trying to rush it to meet anybody else's standards. Don't look for validation. Don't look for approval, and don't allow anyone to devalue your work. That's my biggest advice. Trust the process, take your time, do what's best for you, and just go for it. Just go for it, because you have nothing to lose at this point.
Right. And basically everyone in the program, they love you. They all talk about how much they love your energy. If anybody wanted to find you after this, what's your Instagram? Where can they find you?
Oh, sure. It's Shaz, that's spelled S-H-A-Z, Shaz Taylor Art. So SHAZTAYLORART.
And I'm gonna
My
probably
IG.
put a link as well as an image of your Instagram on the screen for everyone who want to check out your work.
Thank
Um,
you.
with that being said, we're gonna end the, I guess you could say, Q&A interview here, and that'll be it.
All right. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it so much.
You're welcome. Bye bye.
Bye.